I would like to take a look at what happened on Monday Night Football with the young man from the Buffalo Bills who had cardiac arrest in front of the nation. Right now, you can look and see 80% of the league is vaccinated. Let's take a listen to what Dr. Drew
You
has
just
to say.
come on in and ask your. The fact that we have to stop and go, oh my God, this is a tragedy. We feel so sorry for him and his family and his teammates. It takes my breath away. It's so awful. That goes without saying, everybody. It's a horrible, tragic event. We're trying to make sense of this. People saw it and were traumatized by it. We're trying to diminish people's trauma, and we're also trying to learn from it so we can prevent this from happening again. That's why we're discussing it. So we're not discussing him. We're discussing cases like this, that this particular tragedy directs our attention to these situations. So the question, Sam, that really has to come up is, could anything have predisposed him to more likely develop this, which is kind of an interesting question. And by the way, the Komodo I've seen, you don't stand up afterwards. He stood up and took a couple of steps. That was now people keep saying that is consistent with Komodo. I'm going to challenge those people and say you've probably never seen it, because when you see it, they go flaccid instantly, as soon as it happens. Now maybe go ahead, Sam.
I only saw one on Twitter where it was a hockey puck and he then fell over.
Okay. But interesting.
Well,
that was the only thing I've seen that's been supporting it.
I also noticed that he got hit and then he tackled the guy. So then he got up after he tackled him.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like right when he got hit, because he actually tackled him after that. And then he stood up.
Yep. And by the way, it was a sort of head and shoulder. It was the usual sort of thing. I don't know. It's certainly possible, but it also leaves open the possibility that he had some sort of predisposing thing there. I mean, why would this be the only case in the history of the NFL if this is such a common thing?
Yeah, it's like in the NFL, there's only 850 players. That's like a 1 in 1,000-year event.
Right.
Let's hope so. Let's hope we don't see any more for the next 1,000 years.
I have been worried about the athlete deaths and the excess deaths overall that are being unexplained in this country. And it should be an emergency that we answer the question, what is this? It could be COVID. I'm totally prepared that COVID could be the culprit. It could be causing long-term problems that we haven't really studied yet, and now they're coming out. Answer that question. Or is it COVID plus the vaccine? Or is it the vaccine? In the meantime, people are just fishing around, speculating all over the place. It's all speculation at this point. We have no idea.
Chest area. And there are a couple of things that could happen under this scenario. The first we think about, obviously, is the spinal cord injury. It doesn't seem like that's what happened here. Because when you have a spinal cord injury that does injure acutely that cervical spine, you don't get back up. You're on the floor and you'll stay on the floor. He was able to get back up. That leads us to believe this was more of a cardiac injury. When you have a cardiac injury, a couple of things.
Okay, so let's look at some of the players on the Buffalo Bills who would not go along with the forced experimental shots. They were fined $650 to 25 players for failing to wear masks or tracking devices. Are you kidding me? Tracking devices? Are these guys animals? Unbelievable. Cole Beasley, the former Dallas Cowboy, who recently just rejoined with the Bills 24 days ago. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's been forced to take experimental medicine. But so what I did, I wanted to see who was fined from the Buffalo Bills. And I put out a search for the young man who just had the heart attack live in front of everyone in the nation to see if he was fined by the NFL. He was fined for the NFL, but it had nothing to do with not taking experimental shot. He was fined for a hit on a defensive player that ended up having a concussion. So logically, that tells me this young man went along with the vaccination shot from the league and was coerced into taking this shot. And here's where he got fined for the hit on, I think it was Jacoby Myers from the Patriots. That's the only fine this young man had. Damar Hamlin also, it looks like the feds set up an outpost near UC Medical Center. Why in the world would the feds be setting up an outpost outside of this? What is going on? What is the real truth in this? Is there more to this than we're being told? I can only share the facts that I read and see on fake news and some of the other outlets. But I've got a bad feeling this guy here has a lot to do with what we're seeing right now.